Dr. Emily Warren couldn't believe her eyes. The message on her computer screen made her hand shake as she reached for her coffee mug. After 15 years of searching for alien signals at the SETI Institute, she had found something. But it wasn't the friendly greeting she had hoped for. The signal came from somewhere near Alpha Centauri. At first, it looked like random space noise, but her new decoding program had found a pattern. As she read the translated message again, her face grew pale. Warning. Avoid Sol system. Contains level 7 threat species. Humans have created machines that eat stars. Repeat. Avoid Sol system. Emily quickly called her boss, but it was 3 a.m. and he didn't answer. She looked around the empty lab, its walls covered with star maps and pictures of space. The only sound was the quiet hum of computers. She had to make sure this was real. For the next 4 hours, she checked and double-checked her work. The alien message kept coming, repeating every 12 minutes. Each time her program decoded it, the warning was the same. There were more details, too, things that made her stomach turn. Human vessels detected near dying stars. Massive titanium structures blocking all light. Stars disappear when structures activate. Technology level, impossibly advanced. Quarantine zone established. Emily finally got through to her boss at 7 a.m. Dr. Roberts, you need to come to the lab right now, she said, trying to keep her voice steady. We're not alone in the universe, but they're afraid of us. By noon, the lab was full of scientists. They crowded around Emily's computer, arguing about what the message meant. Nobody noticed when General Parker walked in with 2 military officers. Dr. Warren, the general said, making everyone jump. I need you to explain exactly what you found. Emily showed them everything. The original signal, the decoded message, and the detailed warnings about Earth's star-eating machines. The general's face didn't show any emotion, but Emily saw his jaw tighten. Ma'am, he said quietly, what you found is both classified and true. The room went silent. Emily felt like all the air had been sucked out of her lungs. Project Prometheus went active last month, the general continued. It's humanity's answer to our energy crisis. Yes, we built machines to harvest energy from dying stars. The aliens are right about what they saw, but they don't understand what they're seeing. He pulled up a video on the main screen. It showed a massive structure, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was made of gleaming titanium and looked like a giant flower about to bloom. As everyone watched, the structure moved toward a dim red star. This is our first harvester, the general explained. It doesn't destroy stars. It collects energy from stars that are already dying. But from the outside, it looks like the machine is eating the star's light. That's what scared them. Emily looked at the video in awe. How many of these have we built? 4 are active now. 6 more are under construction. We didn't think anyone would notice. We were using dying stars that no one seemed to care about. We didn't know there were others watching. Dr. Roberts spoke up for the first time. What do we do about their warning? They think we're monsters. The general sighed. That's why I'm here. Dr. Warren, your discovery changes everything. We need your help to send a message back. We have to explain what we're really doing before this gets worse. Emily nodded slowly, her mind racing. Humanity had reached for the stars to solve their problems, but in doing so, they had terrified their galactic neighbors. Now they had to find a way to show that their titanium monstrosities weren't weapons of destruction, but tools of survival. As she looked at the harvester video again, Emily understood the alien's fear. The massive machine did look terrifying as it surrounded the dying star, its titanium surface reflecting the red light. To anyone who didn't know what it was for, it would look like humanity had built something to eat stars. We need to tell them the truth, she said firmly, before they decide to stop us. The general nodded grimly. You have 1 week to draft a response. Make it good, Dr. Warren. The future of human-alien relations depends on it. Commander David Foster stood at the bridge of the TSV Prometheus, watching his crew prepare for their next harvest. The massive ship hummed with power as it approached the dying red dwarf star. This would be their third harvest, but David still felt butterflies in his stomach every time. "Status report," he called out, his voice steady despite his nerves. "All systems green," replied Susan Chen from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the control panel. "The star is exactly where we expected. Temperature and radiation levels are within safe limits." David nodded and looked at the main screen. The red dwarf glowed weakly ahead of them, its light barely a fraction of what it had been millions of years ago. Soon, it would be gone completely, unless they saved its energy. "Deploy the pedals," David ordered. The ship shuddered slightly as its massive titanium panels began to unfold. On the outside cameras, David could see the huge sheets of metal spreading out like flower petals opening to the sun. Each petal was bigger than Earth itself, covered in special panels that could catch and store star energy. "Sir," called out Jack Wilson from the sensor station, "we're picking up something strange. There are ships watching us. They're trying to stay hidden, but our new sensors can see them." David frowned. Ever since Dr. Warren had discovered the alien warning message 3 months ago, they knew they were being watched. But this was the first time they had actually detected the watchers. "How many ships?" he asked. "At least 12, sir. They're keeping their distance, but they're definitely studying us." David thought for a moment. General Parker had warned him this might happen. The aliens were terrified of the harvesters, thinking they were some kind of weapon. Now they had a chance to show them the truth. "Open all observation channels," David commanded. "Let them see everything we're doing. No secrets." The crew looked surprised, but they followed his orders. Now the aliens would be able to see all their sensor data and internal cameras. They could watch exactly how the harvester worked. "Pedals at full extension," Susan reported, "ready to begin energy collection." David took a deep breath. "Start the harvest. Standard speed." The ship's systems hummed louder as the energy collection began. On the screen, they could see the star's light bending toward their panels. It looked like the star was being eaten, but they were really just catching energy that would otherwise be lost to space. "Sir," Jack called out suddenly. "The alien ships, they're sending out distress signals." David could imagine what the aliens were seeing. To them, it must look like a monster made of metal was swallowing a star. But he had his orders. "Continue the harvest, no matter what." "Keep going," he said firmly. "Let them watch. They need to learn we're not destroying anything." For the next 6 hours, they harvested the dying star's energy. The aliens stayed and watched the whole time, sending messages back to their homes about the terrifying Earth machine. Finally, Susan looked up from her station. "Harvest complete, sir. Energy storage at maximum capacity." David smiled. "Retract the pedals. Prepare for return journey." As the giant titanium panels folded back into the ship, he watched the star on the main screen. It was dimmer now, but not dead. They had taken only the energy it was already losing, leaving enough for it to shine for thousands more years. "Message from Earth Command, sir," Jack said. "They want to know if we noticed our audience." "Tell them we gave them a good show," David replied. "Maybe now they'll understand what we're really doing out here." The Prometheus turned away from the star, its holds full of energy that would power Earth's cities for years. Behind them, the alien ship stayed still, watching them leave. David looked at his crew, proud of how calm they had stayed. "Good work, everyone. We're not the monsters they think we are. We're just trying to help our people. Someday they'll understand that." As they headed home, David thought about how strange it was. Humans had built these huge machines to solve their energy problems, never knowing they would scare their galactic neighbors. But maybe that fear would lead to something better, a chance to show other species who humans really were. "Plot course for Earth," he ordered. Let's show them what we do with all this star energy." Ambassador Rachel Cooper wiped her sweaty palms on her dress as she waited in the space station's meeting room. After months of sending messages back and forth, the Galactic Council had finally agreed to meet with a human representative. The room was designed to hold beings from 20 different species, with various types of chairs, atmosphere bubbles, and gravity settings. "They're ready for you," said her assistant through her earpiece. Rachel stood up straight and walked into the main chamber. The sight took her breath away. 12 alien representatives sat in a half-circle, each in their own special environment pod. Some looked almost human, while others were completely different. One was even a cloud of floating crystals. "Human Ambassador Cooper," rumbled the head counselor, a tall being with blue skin. "We have agreed to hear Earth's explanation for their star-eating machines." Rachel nodded and stepped up to the speaking platform. She had practiced this speech hundreds of times. "Thank you, honored council. I'm here to show you that Earth's harvesters are not weapons. They are tools for survival." She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth at night, its cities glowing with light. "This is my home. 10 years ago, we were running out of power. Our cities were going dark. Millions of people were suffering." A hologram changed to show the first harvester being built. "We looked to the stars for an answer. We found it in." Suddenly, a different alien burst into the chamber. It was shaking, its tentacles waving wildly. "Emergency. 3 more human harvesters have been spotted. They're surrounding stars in the Orion sector." The council chamber erupted in chaos. The crystal being started flashing red. The blue-skinned head counselor stood up, all 3 of his eyes wide with fear. "You dare," he shouted at Rachel. "You speak of peace while your machines attack more stars." Rachel tried to stay calm. "Please, let me explain. Those stars are dying naturally. We're only collecting energy that would be wasted." "Lies," hissed another council member. "We have seen your machines. They wrap around stars like hungry beasts. The stars grow dim in their grasp." Rachel quickly pulled up new images on the hologram. "Look, these are the stars before and after harvest. They're still alive, still shining. We take only what would be lost." But the aliens weren't listening anymore. They were all talking at once, sharing horror stories about the human harvesters. Rachel heard phrases like metal monsters and star killers being thrown around. "Council members, please," Rachel raised her voice. "If you'll just watch this demonstration." The head counselor slammed his hand down. "We have seen enough demonstrations. Your Commander Foster showed us exactly what your machines can do. We watched in terror as your harvester drained a star's light." Rachel felt her heart sink. The Prometheus mission had been meant to show transparency, but it had backfired. The aliens had seen exactly what they feared most: a massive metal machine seemingly eating a star's light. "The council calls for an immediate vote," the blue-skinned leader announced. "Should Earth be contained?" "Wait." Rachel pulled out her last piece of evidence, a small crystal containing the energy from the last harvest. "Look what we do with the energy. We use it to help people, to power hospitals, to grow food." But it was too late. The council members were already voting. Rachel watched in dismay as one after another, they raised their hands or tentacles or light signals in agreement. The head counselor turned to her, his voice cold. "The council has spoken. Earth is now under observation. Any new harvesters will be considered an act of aggression. This meeting is over." Rachel stood alone in the chamber as the alien representatives filed out. Years of diplomatic work, ruined in minutes. She touched her earpiece. "Get me Earth Command. They need to know the Council's decision." As she walked back to her ship, Rachel couldn't help but laugh at the irony. Humans had built the harvesters to save themselves, but their solution had terrified their galactic neighbors. Now they had to choose: stop the harvesting program and face an energy crisis, or continue and risk making enemies of every alien species in the galaxy. "Maybe we are monsters," she whispered to herself. but we're monsters who keep our people's lights on. Chief Engineer Stephen Morris walked through the giant construction bay, looking up at the half-finished harvester that filled the massive space. Workers in protective suits moved around the titanium panels, welding and checking measurements. Even after building 4 of these machines, the size still amazed him. His tablet beeped, reminding him it was time for the presentation. After the disaster at the Galactic Council, Earth's leaders had decided to try one last time to explain the harvesters. They had chosen Steve to do it because he had helped design them. "Ready to start the tour?" asked his assistant, Andy. Steve nodded and headed to the viewing room, where screens showed 20 different alien scientists. These were the brave few who had agreed to learn about the harvesters instead of just fearing them. "Hello," Steve said, trying to sound friendly. "I'm Steve Morris, Chief Engineer of the Harvester Program. Today, I'm going to show you how these machines really work." He pulled up the first diagram on the screen. Everyone sees our harvesters as giant metal monsters that eat stars. But that's like seeing a solar panel and thinking it's eating the sun. We're not destroying anything. We're collecting what would otherwise be wasted. Steve walked over to a table and picked up what looked like a piece of metal. "This is our special titanium alloy. It doesn't eat light. It catches it, like a mirror catches sunlight. But instead of reflecting the light, it turns it into energy we can use." He held the metal under a strong light, and the aliens watched as it seemed to drink in the light beam. "See, the light isn't gone. It's been changed into power. We can store it and use it later." One of the alien scientists, a floating cloud of gas in a container, moved closer to its camera. "But the stars, they grow dimmer." Steve smiled. "Let me show you something interesting." He switched to a new diagram. "We only harvest dying stars. These stars are already losing energy, throwing it away into space. Our machines catch that lost energy. Yes, the star gets a little dimmer, but it was already getting dimmer. We just use the energy instead of letting it disappear." He walked through the construction bay, showing them different parts of the new harvester. "Look at the panels. They're not weapons. They're more like solar panels, just much bigger. We needed them this big because stars are very far away. The titanium shell protects our workers from the star's heat and radiation." Another alien spoke up, this one looking like a tall plant. "Why do you need so much power?" Steve pulled up pictures of Earth. "Our cities need power for hospitals, schools, farms, and homes. We tried solar power, wind power, and nuclear power, but our population kept growing. We needed more energy than our planet could give us." He showed them videos of the harvesters working. "Watch carefully. The star's energy flows into our panels like water flowing into a cup. We're not hurting the star. We're just catching what it's already losing. After we leave, the star keeps burning like it always did." Some of the alien scientists were starting to look interested instead of scared. One of them, a crystal being, asked, "Could this technology help other worlds?" "That's what we hope," Steve said eagerly. "Many civilizations might face the same energy problems we did. We could help them. Instead of being monsters, we could be, well, power companies for the galaxy." He saved his best demonstration for last. "Watch this." He took out a small crystal, similar to the one Rachel had tried to show the council. "This holds energy from our last harvest, enough to power a city for a year." He put it in a simple device, and suddenly the whole room lit up with clean, bright light. The alien scientists went quiet, studying the crystal and the light it made. Steve could see them thinking, maybe understanding for the first time. "We're not monsters," Steve said softly. "We're just engineers trying to solve a problem. Our machines look scary because they're big, and the titanium shells make them look like they're eating light. But they're tools, not weapons. They help us survive." As the tour ended, Steve noticed something had changed. The alien scientists weren't looking at him with fear anymore. Instead, they were asking for copies of his diagrams, wanting to understand more. Maybe, he thought, this was how it started. Not with big diplomatic meetings, but with scientists and engineers talking to each other, sharing ideas, and building understanding. Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the TSV Edison, watching the alien ships approach. There were 5 of them, shaped like arrowheads, their weapons clearly ready to fire. Her harvester was in the middle of collecting energy from a dying blue giant star, its titanium petals fully extended. "They're sending a message," said her communications officer, Rob. "They're ordering us to stop the harvest and leave the star system." Lisa shook her head. "We can't stop now. We're at the critical point of the collection process. Stopping could cause the harvester to overload." She pressed a button on her chair. "This is Captain Martinez to approaching vessels. Please hold your position. Our operation cannot be safely interrupted." The alien ships kept coming. "They're charging weapons," called out her sensor officer, Mike. "Some kind of energy beam technology." Lisa looked at the main screen, showing the massive petals of her harvester drinking in the star's excess energy. They had spent months finding this particular star, one that was about to die anyway. They weren't hurting anything. "All hands, battle stations," she ordered calmly. "But do not, I repeat, do not return fire." The first alien shot came as a bright purple beam, hitting one of the harvester's petals. Everyone on the bridge held their breath. But instead of causing damage, something strange happened. The beam's energy was absorbed by the titanium panels, just like the starlight. "Ma'am," Mike said, sounding surprised. "The petal just ate their weapon beam. Energy levels are up 2%. Lisa almost laughed. Of course, the panels were designed to absorb energy. They didn't care if it came from a star or a weapon. The aliens had just given them a free boost. The alien ships fired again and again. Each time, the harvester's petals absorbed the energy, growing slightly brighter. The aliens' weapons were actually helping them harvest faster. "They've stopped firing," Rob reported. "They're sending another message. They're asking what kind of shields we're using." "Tell them the truth," Lisa said. "No shields, just our titanium energy collection panels." There was a long silence from the alien ships. Lisa could imagine their confusion. They had just seen their weapons completely fail against what they thought was a terrible weapon. But instead of fighting back, the humans had simply absorbed their attack and kept working. "New message coming in," Rob said. They're asking how our technology works." Lisa smiled. This was their chance. Send them our basic technical readouts, the ones Steve Morris prepared for sharing, and ask them if they'd like to send a representative to observe the rest of the harvest. To everyone's surprise, the aliens accepted. A small shuttle left one of their ships and approached the Edison. Lisa met their representative, a tall, blue-skinned being, in the observation deck. "I am Captain Martinez," she said. "Welcome aboard the Edison." The alien looked nervous. "I am Observer Zax. We were sent to stop you from killing this star. But I do not understand what I am seeing." Lisa led Zax to a window overlooking the harvester's petals. "We're not killing anything. Watch." For the next 2 hours, she explained everything as they completed the harvest. She showed Zax the energy storage systems, the safety measures, and most importantly, the star itself, still shining brightly even after they were done. "Your weapons didn't hurt us because our panels are designed to catch energy," she explained. "Your beams were just another form of energy to collect. We actually thank you. You helped us finish the harvest faster." Zax's 3 eyes blinked rapidly. We were told your machines were weapons of destruction, but they are more like gardens. You harvest energy like we harvest food." "Exactly." Lisa smiled. "We're farmers, not warriors. We grow energy instead of crops." When Zax left the Edison, the alien ships didn't leave. Instead, they escorted the harvester until its work was done, keeping other ships away. They had come to fight monsters but found farmers instead. Lisa wrote in her log that night, Today, we didn't just harvest energy from a dying star. We may have harvested something even more valuable: understanding. Dr. Brian Reynolds couldn't help but stare at his alien colleagues. After Captain Martinez's peaceful encounter, the Galactic Council had finally allowed a joint research team to study the harvesters. Now his lab was full of beings from 6 different worlds, all trying to understand human technology. Dr. Reynolds, called Zix, a floating cloud of purple gas in a containment suit, "Could you explain these energy conversion rates again? They seem impossible." Brian walked over to Zix's workstation, where complex diagrams of the harvester's panels filled multiple screens. "That's what we thought at first too," he said, "but let me show you something interesting." He pulled out a small piece of the special titanium alloy. "Watch what happens when I heat it." He used a laser to warm the metal, and it began to glow. But instead of just getting hot, the metal seemed to drink in the light it was making. Fascinating. Zix's gas form swirled excitedly. "It feeds its own reaction." "Exactly," Brian smiled. "We discovered this by accident. The metal doesn't just absorb energy. It makes the absorption process more efficient over time. That's why the harvesters look like they're eating light. They're actually learning how to catch it better." Across the lab, Kina, a tall crystalline being, was studying the harvester's structural plans. "But the size," she chimed, her crystal body ringing like bells when she spoke. "Why must they be so large?" Brian brought up a simulation on the main screen. "Think of it like trying to catch rain. One small bucket won't catch much. But if you spread out a huge sheet," he showed how the harvester's petals unfolded around a star, "we can catch much more of the energy that would be lost to space." The alien scientists gathered around as Brian started the full simulation. It showed a dying star, its outer layers pulsing as it neared the end of its life. "Watch what happens naturally," he said. The simulation showed the star's energy spreading out into space, wasted. Then he added the harvester. The titanium petals caught the escaping energy, storing it safely. "We're not killing the star," he explained. "We're saving its lost energy, like catching the last light of the sunset." Suddenly, one of the younger aliens, a plant-like being named Grell, made an excited whistling sound. "Look at these numbers." Grell pointed at his screen with a leafy appendage. "If we adjust the panel angles by just 2 degrees. Brian rushed over. Grell had found a way to make the harvesters even more efficient. It was so simple, but none of the human engineers had thought of it. "This is amazing," Brian said. "You've just made our harvesters 15% more efficient." The lab burst into activity. Now that the aliens understood what the harvesters really did, they had all kinds of ideas to make them better. Zix suggested a way to reduce the panel's weight. Kina figured out how to make the titanium alloy stronger. "You know what this means?" Brian asked, looking at his alien colleagues with growing excitement. "This isn't just Earth technology anymore. We're making it better together." Later that day, Brian sent his report to Earth Command. He wrote, "The aliens aren't afraid of our harvesters anymore. Now that they understand the technology, they want to help improve it. What they saw as a monster is becoming a bridge between our species." He looked out his lab window at the half-built harvester in the construction bay. Its titanium panels still gleamed like the scales of some huge metal beast. But now, aliens worked alongside humans, adding their own improvements to the design. "We didn't just build machines," he said to himself. "We built a future where different species can work together." His tablet beeped with an urgent message. The Galactic Council wanted to see the team's results immediately. Brian smiled as he gathered his data. He knew what they would find: proof that humanity's terrifying machines were actually a gift to the galaxy. As he packed up his presentation materials, Brian heard his alien colleagues discussing plans for even more improvements. They weren't just studying the harvesters anymore. They were making them their own, adding their species' knowledge to human innovation. The monsters were becoming marvels, one scientific breakthrough at a time. Director Kate Palmer stood before the Galactic Council, feeling very different from how Ambassador Cooper had felt in the same spot 6 months ago. This time, the chamber wasn't filled with fear. Instead, the alien representatives leaned forward with interest. "Members of the Council," Kate began, "today I'm proud to present the new Joint Species Harvester Program." She pressed a button, and a hologram appeared showing the latest harvester. It looked different from the earlier models. The titanium panels now had crystal patterns designed by Keena's people. Zix's gas-form species had improved the energy storage systems. Even the plant-like beings had added their own touches, making the panels more efficient. "This harvester isn't just Earth technology anymore," Kate said. "It belongs to all of us." The head counselor, who had once called humans monsters, now nodded in agreement. "Tell us about the first joint mission," he said. Kate smiled and brought up a new image. It showed a cluster of dying stars, their light fading slowly. In the Orion sector, there are 12 stars nearing the end of their lives. Together, we can save their energy before it's lost forever. She walked through the chamber, making eye contact with each council member. "But we're doing more than just collecting energy now. Thanks to our combined knowledge, we can help some stars live longer. The new harvesters don't just take, they can give back." The crystal being on the council chimed excitedly. "Explain this giving back process." Kate showed them a demonstration. "By using techniques learned from 5 different species, we can feed some energy back into dying stars in a special way. It's like giving medicine to a sick patient. We can't save every star, but we can help many shine longer." The council chamber filled with impressed murmurs. Kate saw Dr. Emily Warren sitting in the audience, smiling. Emily had found the first alien message warning about Earth's monsters. Now she was watching those same aliens praise human innovation. "We've built 20 new harvesters," Kate continued. "Each one has crew members from at least 3 different species. We're not just sharing technology. We're sharing knowledge, culture, and purpose." She showed images of the joint crews working together. Humans worked alongside aliens, learning from each other, becoming friends. The machines that had once terrified the galaxy were now bringing its people together. "And the energy we collect." Kate pressed another button, and the hologram showed a new map. "It goes to any world that needs it. We've already helped 15 planets solve their energy crisis. The harvesters aren't weapons or monsters. They're tools to help everyone." The head counselor stood up. "Director Palmer, 6 months ago, we called humans a threat to the galaxy. We were wrong. Your harvesters showed us something important. Sometimes what we fear most is what we understand least." He raised his 3-fingered hand. "The Council votes to officially recognize the Joint Species Harvester Program as guardians of stellar resources. Your machines don't devour light. They preserve it for future generations." After the meeting, Kate found Emily in the corridor. "Can you believe how much has changed?" Emily asked. "From monsters to guardians in just 6 months." Kate laughed. "Well, the machines still look pretty scary. But now everyone knows what's inside them. Hope, cooperation, and a lot of brilliant ideas from different worlds." Her tablet beeped with a message from Commander Foster on the newest harvester. His crew now included beings from 7 species, all working together to save dying stars. "Ready for the next step?" Kate asked Emily. Emily nodded. "The research team has found a way to restart younger stars that died too soon. If it works, we might be able to bring light back to dead solar systems." Kate looked out a window at the space station's dock, where a harvester was preparing to leave. Its titanium panels still gleamed like some giant space creature, but now those panels were covered in patterns and improvements from a dozen alien worlds. "We built these machines to save ourselves," Kate said softly. "We never guessed they would end up saving so much more. Not just energy, but trust between species." A harvester's panels began to unfold as it moved away from the station, catching the light of nearby stars. But now, nobody watched in terror. Instead, they saw hope in those gleaming titanium petals, hope for a brighter future among the stars.